You know, when I think about the idea of gospel restoration, the gospel in its very essence is restorative because Christ restores us. But at the same time, I feel like one of my particular goals and vision is for the country of Brazil is that we want to see the church reclaim the historical gospel. My name is Jay Bauman. I'm 37 years old and I'm living in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I'm a pastor. I'm also leading an organization called Restore Brazil and involved in a movement of social justice and human rights called Rio de Paz. I love Brazil for a few reasons. First of all, the people generally are so nice and so hospitable. I also love Brazil just because I feel like God's really called me here, quite frankly. And I'm married to a Brazilian, which kind of makes a difference. But, you know, Brazil is a country that has that natural resources to pretty much produce everything that they need to produce. It's kind of unique in that way. And there's just a lot of variety, both in the people and in the regions. And so Brazil really is a country of many countries. When you consider the idea of devastation, there's a real physical aspect to it, and then there's sort of more of a spiritual type of devastation. Spiritually being, as we understand the storyline of the gospel, creation, fall, redemption, and restoration. It would be the fall, Genesis 3. We're spiritually devastated without Christ. In terms of more of the physical devastation, it's just the devastation of people's lives. Those that are being oppressed, maybe by the political powers or by corruption, or people who are living in poverty, those who are placed in inhumane conditions in prison. These are all different aspects of real tangible devastation that Brazilians face every day. When I think about this idea of human rights in Rio, they're linked with the three areas that I consider most problematic in Brazil. One is the issue of poverty, two is the issue of corruption, and three is the issue of violence. And almost all of the issues that we have related to human rights are centered somehow or related somehow to those three topics. If Christians really lived out the Christian life, they would have some more, what's the right term? Righteous anger, some more indignation for what's happening here in Brazil. In 2003 was my first time to Brazil. I fell in love with the country, and I felt like God almost audibly spoke to me on the plane ride on the way back, and it's almost as if He was saying, "You will be back." And I didn't know anything other than that, other than I would be back. So I came back a few times. In 2004, we took a mission team of Americans down. During this mission trip, we were working in the slums, really encouraging the local church in São Paulo, particularly in the slums. And we had like this little churrasco, a little barbecue. I was coming back from the barbecue, and I just saw on the hillside hundreds and thousands of houses, but they weren't the kind of houses that I was used to. They were favelas. And at that moment, God just kind of broke my heart. And He broke my heart for the people of Brazil. How could people live in these conditions? But not only that, how could these people maybe not have been reconciled to Christ, the Christ that I knew and loved? And so I started weeping uncontrollably. And you know, I was in the front seat of like this van, and I had a baseball cap on, and I put the baseball cap on, or excuse me, I brought it down, put my sunglasses on because I didn't want anybody to see me. I mean, I was like the trip leader, right? And nobody saw me except for the van driver, and I wept the whole way home uncontrollably. And it was at that moment that I first realized that God gave me a heart for the people of Brazil, a unique heart and a specific calling. Little did I know that 5 or 6 years later, I was going to be living in Rio de Janeiro. One of the reasons that Restore Brazil exists is because I feel like there's not enough gospel-centered churches in Brazil. Where the gospel goes, you should be seeing cultural transformation, and we're not seeing it. Why not? Is it because the church is not doing its job? In many ways, yes. But I think principally it's because the gospel that's being preached is not a real gospel. I have a lot of dreams for Restore Brazil, but in 5 years, I'd like to see a few things accomplished. First, we want to develop church planting communities in the 10 largest cities in Brazil, all of them over 2 million. Communities where church planters who are like-minded can come together, learn how to plant churches that are more gospel-centered, as well as be encouraged by their peers. The second thing is we want to plant churches among the poor. We want to see several churches planted in the favelas. Starting in Rio de Janeiro, I'd love to see maybe at least a dozen churches planted in the favelas over the course of the next 5 years. We're looking for partners to do that. We believe that by planting churches in the slums, it's a way for us to really impact the culture of the city. Cultural movements can actually begin among the poor. And so that's something we're very interested in doing. And a third thing that we want to do is continue to advocate for those that are oppressed. We want to partner with Rio de Paz and partner with the things that they're doing well and help to reform the prisons. Go to the streets when there's issues of injustice and continue to advocate for those who are less fortunate. If churches or individuals are interested in learning more about partnering with Restore Brazil, they can just visit our website, restorebrazil.com, or they can just get in touch with me via email. I'd be happy to share more about our vision. We have a few things that we're doing. We have a kind of like a partnering program where an American church can partner with a Brazilian church planter. They can bring in mission teams into Rio de Janeiro and just kind of have that experience. They can send down interns that will serve with us for 6 months or longer term missionaries. So there's a number of ways to partner with us, but probably the simplest way is to be praying for us because we really need a lot of prayer in the environments that we're in. Of course, we're a ministry that runs primarily on donations and funding, and so for people that are interested in partnering with us in that way, that's another great opportunity, and it helps us to accomplish so much more. So those are just a few of the ways that people can serve and partner with what we're doing. When God looks down in Brazil, I think He sees a country that He loves, but I think He sees a lot of poverty, a lot of pain, and a lot of suffering. And I think He longs to see those that are in the midst of these problems and challenges reconciled to Him.